Clerk?
Your Honor.
Okay, we'll go ahead and call this regular meeting of the East Peoria City Council to order. Roll call.
Commissioner Decker?
Here.
Hill?
Here.
Mingus?
Here.
Sutherland?
Here.
Mayor Call?
Here.
All present, Your Honor.
Thank you. Please rise for the invocation. Remain standing for the pledge.
Shall we pray? Heavenly Father, thank you for every day you give us. During these trying times, we seem to have more asks of you and your loving care. We ask that you give hope and comfort to those feeling in despair as they continue to shelter in place. We ask you comfort those grieving. We ask you shine light on and protect our essential heroes. As we begin to open up our lives again, we ask that you bring all of us, citizens, leaders, all together into unity for what is best for all. With all of our ask, we have not lost sight of our blessings from you. We are blessed with family and friends, although still remote at times. We are blessed as tomorrow comes, a more beautiful day for all. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Approval of the minutes, please.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the minutes of the regular meeting held on May 5th, 2020 be approved as printed.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Decker. Any discussion? Hearing none. Roll call.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Hill?
Aye.
Mingus?
Aye.
Sutherland?
Aye.
Mayor Call?
Aye.
All present, voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you. Under communications, we have 3 proclamations this evening. First one, whereas on Peace Officers Memorial Day and during Police Week, we commend the brave men and women of our law enforcement community for continually summoning the courage to fulfill their solemn oath to protect and serve. And whereas throughout our nation's history, law enforcement officials never waver in the face of crisis or tragedy, and even during uncertain times, law enforcement officials bravely face challenges and continue to protect the American people, steadfast, ensuring the safety of the community of East Peoria. And whereas these brave men and women must operate in an environment where their moral and legal authority is constantly being scrutinized, and they undertake the critical yet difficult task of addressing the actions of those affected by addiction, homelessness, and mental illness. Their ability to work well in the face of these and other challenges is extraordinary. And whereas they provide a much-needed sense of security to our citizens, and we must continue to respect and understand the important work that they do and have incredible appreciation for their public service and selflessness. And whereas on behalf of the grateful people of East Peoria, we proudly recognize the more than 900,000 sworn officers in the United States of America for their resolve and dedication in the face of dangerous uncertainty. And now, therefore, I, John P. Call, Mayor of the City of East Peoria, Illinois, do hereby recognize and proclaim May 15, 2020 as Peace Officers Memorial Day and May 10th through the 16th, 2020 as Police Week, and call upon all citizens to recognize the contributions that our law enforcement officers make to our community. And I just want to point out, I know this is an afterthought. It really isn't an afterthought. I failed to get it on the last agenda, but I realize as we are coming upon this next proclamation that we recognize the emergency medical services every year. So I went back and I thought, wait a minute, I don't want to be partisan by any means, and I don't want to leave anybody out. But I think it's important that we recognize those who serve to protect our community on a daily basis. So moving forward, we'll make sure we have these in a timely manner. But I thought it was important to recognize all of those serving our community, and we greatly appreciate their service. Second proclamation. Whereas emergency medical services are a vital public service, and whereas the members of the emergency medical services teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury, and whereas the members of emergency medical services teams, whether career or volunteer, engaged in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills. And whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishments of emergency medical services providers by designating National Emergency Medical Services Week. Whereas the 2020 National Emergency Medical Services Week is particularly meaningful as we see the EMS community rallying today to support the COVID-19 crisis while still responding to the everyday emergencies that are happening in our communities. Whereas a major component of EMS Week is honoring and celebrating our EMS professionals who are supporting the health and well-being of our nation. Now therefore, I, John P. Call, Mayor of the City of East Peoria, Illinois, do hereby proclaim May 7th through the 23rd, 2020 as Emergency Medical Services Week, EMS Strong, Ready Today, Preparing for Tomorrow, and call upon all citizens to participate in this observance. So, as we do every year, we greatly appreciate those that serve our community in that capacity. Commissioner Mings, anything you want to throw in there?
No, I'd just echo that. Thank all of our firefighter paramedics in the city for the service that they do and stepping up. This has been a stressful time, I know, for them with what's going on with COVID, and just recognize them as well as police. And I know not to step on your toes with the next one, but Public Works, I'll just get everything in now, recognize all of our public employees in the city.
Perfect. Thank you, sir. Third proclamation. Whereas Public Works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to the public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of East Peoria. And whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of Public Works professionals who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and the private sector, who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children in East Peoria to gain knowledge of and to maintain a progressive interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in their respective communities. And whereas the year 2020 marks the 60th annual National Public Works Week sponsored by the American Public Works Association. And now, therefore, I, John P. Call, Mayor of the City of East Peoria, Illinois, do hereby proclaim the week of May 17th through the 23rd, 2020 as National Public Works Week, and call upon all citizens and civic organizations to acquaint themselves with the issues involved in providing our public works and to recognize the contributions which public works officials make every day to our health, safety, comfort, and quality of life. And every bit of that is true. And a lot of times they're not in the public light as much as the emergency services and law enforcement. So a lot of times people tend to overlook the public works. So with that, I'll let the two commissioners speak. Commissioner Decker?
It is forgotten often, should not be. Working in EMS and firefighting, just to give you a quick example, whenever there's a really bad snowstorm and our crews are taking somebody to the hospital, it is routine for the plow drivers, it could be a 6-8 inch snowfall, routine for the plow drivers to be paying attention to where we're going, to assist, to make sure that our ambulances can safely get to the hospital as quickly as possible. We've had our crews plow all the way to the hospital before because the roads were so bad. And it's kind of like a badge of honor. They're not going to trust the safety of our crew to just anyone. So even as they went into Peoria to making sure that we can get to the hospital and back safely. It is not only a very good profession. Our public works workers the department's just full of people who are dedicated to our our city. Don't like to talk about this, but I think it's worth knowing. It's a very dangerous job. The last employee in the city of East Peoria to die was a member of Public Works. So I say that just because to recognize some of the things they do. It is a very dangerous job. It takes a lot of knowledge, a lot of skill, and appreciate all the efforts that they put forward.
Well said. Commissioner?
Yeah, all I got to say is, if you've noticed throughout this virus pandemic we're going through, your garbage has been picked up, your water's on, all the breaks are getting fixed, the potholes are getting filled, the sewer clogs that we have are being taken care of, and now we have a flooded river coming up, and they're right there, Johnny on the spot, and I'm proud of them.
Well said. Very good. Thank you. That wraps up the proclamations. Next on the agenda, we had a bid opening for city-owned surplus real estate. Ms. Morgan?
Yes, Your Honor, got a bid opening for 136 Johnson Street, tax ID number 010132413009. I've received one bid, Your Honor. Go ahead and open that. This is Angela Seberg on behalf of Roger Lassie, and the bid amount is $3,800, Your Honor.
Very good. Appreciate that. Okay.
That's it.
Thank you, Ms. Morgan. Public comment. Ty, we'll reach out to you. I know we're still doing a meeting via Zoom here. We'll reach out for any public comment, anyone wishing to address the council on an agenda item. We'll give it a few minutes here, just to make sure that we. Sure.
Do you want me to remind everybody how to do it? If you are on your phone, go ahead and press *9. If you're on your computer, go ahead and select the participants pane, and then you'll go ahead and choose the raise your hand icon.
And we'll give it a few moments.
I think we have one. Let me see if I can bring him in here.
Okay.
I'll unmute him. Oh, there we go. This is Roy Source.
Mr. Source, go ahead.
Hang on, let me get you.
Oh,
There we go.
Mr. Source.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Yes, I'm here again asking for another special use permit. On a positive note, I've been lucky enough to talk to some of you and receive your support throughout this process, as well as many city and state officials, along with a thank you to the newly formed Midwest Fish Co-op, Ty Livingston, the East Peoria Chamber, and the mayor. As this has resulted in us coming up with a workable solution, utilizing and possibly reducing the Asian carp population in the Peoria area pool in a positive way. At the same time, hopefully creating additional jobs and a more livable wage for the commercial fishing industry. That is why I'm here, asking for your support to allow Source Enterprises, located at 3201 North Main Street, to also process fish in conjunction with my cannabis grow facility application, if I'm fortunate enough to win the state license. My goals are still the same: my employees and their jobs, my family and the company, East Peoria, the surrounding area, and the state of Illinois. Once again, I thank you for your consideration, and I'm open for any questions.
Very good. Thank you for your comments. Any questions for Mr. Source? Hearing none on this end, Mr. Source, we appreciate you speaking up. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll give it a moment here, see if we have any other public comments on an agenda item.
I don't have any others at the moment.
Okay, very good. With that, we'll move along to the consent agenda. Commissioner Hill?
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt a consent agenda consisting of items numbered 1 through 3. Item number 1, adoption of resolution number 2021-009, resolution to approve payment of the scheduled bills listed on Schedule Number 1 in the amount of $1,221,794.40. Item number 2, adoption of resolution number 2021-003 on its second reading, resolution approving the 2020 street maintenance program contracts for seal coating, heat scarification, spray patching, fog coating work, and engineering services associated with said program. Item number 3, adoption of resolution number 2021-004 on second reading, resolution authorizing and directing the payment of an invoice to Image Trend, Inc. for the software licensing services for fiscal year 2020 to 2021 for running and administrating many operational aspects of the fire department in the amount of $12,888.72, as listed on the agenda for this meeting to be considered by omnibus vote.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Decker.
Thank you, Commissioner Decker.
Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Hill?
Aye.
Mingus?
Aye.
Sutherland?
Aye.
Mayor Call?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I move you that items numbered 1 through 3 listed on the consent agenda be hereby approved and adopted, and items numbered 2 through 3, having been read once by their title and having laid on the table for no less than 1 week for public inspection, be adopted as presented.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Decker. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Hill?
Aye.
Mingus?
Aye.
Sutherland?
Aye.
Mayor Call?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I have 4 items tonight. Mr. Mayor, I move that ordinance number 4499 here to attach, an ordinance amending Title 5, Chapter 10, Section 2 of the zoning code for the city of East Peoria regarding permitted special uses in M1 manufacturing districts be approved on its first reading as read by its title and be laid on the table for no less than 1 week for public inspection.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Mingus.
Okay, the ordinance change that we've listed, you heard Mr. Source at the beginning of the meeting. This is the code change. Prior to this code change, the city ordinances did not permit fish processing within the city limits. So these changes are going to make it a special use for limited fish processing in the M1 area. And let's see, the ZBA had passed this on with a recommendation of 7-0. Did I miss anything, Ty?
Thank you, Commissioner. I just add that this is a culmination of a better part of a decade trying to identify opportunities for Asian carp processing. And I think we finally got the momentum here, that we've got some really good timing. Illinois Department of Natural Resources is putting in some attention to how do we make this an economic case as opposed to just how do we eliminate the fish. And it's a really good opportunity here that, and this opens the door for any interested party, but it does limit the processing. We're not throwing the door open to all sorts of fish cooking and smoking and that sort of thing, that might be something we have to address down the road. This would be very limited in nature and scope, so the external effects are going to be very limited, and so that's what we're trying to start out with here first, and then maybe evolve into something more complex. But this is a good start, and certainly opens the door for others to participate as well. But this evening, we've got another item with Mr. Source here in a couple of items that will address his case specifically.
I did want to commend Ty Livingston and Rick Swan, Executive Director of the Chamber of Commerce, for facilitating the meetings and with IDNR and Mr. Source and other parties to get this to come to where it's at today. So thank you.
Comments from the council?
Mayor, I'm happy that somebody is doing something with the Asian carp, and it's become one of those things where people they don't fish in the river anymore. Some people don't like to even go boating on the river anymore. There are stories about how fish have flown into boats and hurt people. fact, I've heard quite a few stories like that. It's nice to see that somebody is able to, and I hope he makes a lot of money. I hope he does very well with this, and it'd be great if he helps to reduce that population.
Yeah, well said. Other comments? Hearing none, I also want to commend Rick Swan and Ty Livingston. I know a lot of effort went into getting to this point. It's been long discussed, as Ty pointed out, so we wish everybody well and much success. So I'm looking forward to the project. Roll call?
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Hill?
Aye.
Mingus?
Aye.
Sutherland?
Aye.
Mayor Call?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I move you that ordinance number 4500 here to attach, an ordinance authorizing a special use for property located at 2901 North Main Street in the city of East Peoria, Tazewell County, Illinois, be accepted on its first reading as read by its title and be laid on the table for no less than 1 week for public inspection.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Decker.
This ordinance change is to allow storage of tubs, trash tubs. Yeah. At 21901, they'll be contained in the back area of the property. And again, this is coming from the Zoning Board of Appeals with a unanimous vote of 7-0. So the constraints on this particular allowance is less than 20 dumpsters required on the property. That's it.
Okay. Any other comments from the council? Hearing none, roll call?
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Hill?
Aye.
Mingus?
Aye.
Sutherland?
Aye.
Mayor Call?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I move you the ordinance number 4501 here to attach, an ordinance authorizing special use for property located at 3201 North Main Street in the city of East Peoria, Tazewell County, Illinois, be accepted on its first reading as read by its title and be laid on the table for no less than 1 week for public inspection.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Mingus.
And as we've talked about already a couple times, this is for Mr. Source and Source Enterprises, and this is to run to allow them the special use for limited processing, and right now the intent is for freezing and cutting. And I believe the intent is cutting into chunks, and these fish will be used for bait on the East Coast in Louisiana. I think that's what. Again, the coming from the ZBA with the 7-0. And as Commissioner Decker touched on, the Asian carp, there was the media contact that reached out to me and asked a couple questions. So I thought I might answer those right now. That one was, was the city getting in the business? And I said, no, the city's not getting in the business, but the city, as Ty in the Planning and Community Development Department, one of the things that we do try to do is obviously foster the business. And so, as we've already mentioned, him and Rick Swan and the IDNR are all important players in this solution. So that was one question. And another one was really the economic impact. And I, again, reached out to Ty, who then reached out to our someone at the state level. And there were some numbers and there's some speculations there that if it grew 6 times, yeah, there could be the impact of thousands of jobs, but this was statewide, so it wasn't really the impact here. But as Mr. Source had alluded to at the beginning of the meeting, is again, he's got plans and his business is changing, and so he's doing a couple things, and this fish processing is one of those, and he's trying to maintain city employees here in the city, and as he has and his father before him in the city. So again, there is economic impact. We really would require additional analysis to determine locally how positive, but again, we're looking at it as it could save some jobs, it could add some others, as others are interested in this area as well. And again, going back to Mr. Decker, you know, the safety issue, but even the ecological issue, we all know, we've seen the reports that the Asian carp are very evasive. They take over. Besides the safety factor of hitting boaters, there's been measures for years trying to keep them out of the Great Lakes. And so anything that we can do to stave off some of the population is probably a well-spent venture.
I'd be remiss if I didn't mention a couple of other groups that have been a part of this effort, and a lot of it is facilitating these connections so that we can identify, business owners like Mr. Source and connecting them with IDNR and other resources. The Greater Peoria EDC, as well as the Tri-County Regional Planning Commission, have also been a part of this effort and certainly very integral to it over the years. And so to get to this point, it takes a team effort, and so we've had a lot of good partners helping us out through this.
Absolutely. It's great for the whole region. Any comments from the council? Hearing none. Roll call?
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Hill?
Aye.
Mingus?
Aye.
Sutherland?
Aye.
Mayor Call?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Be it resolved by the Council of the City of East Peoria, Illinois, that resolution number 2021-008, hereto attached, a resolution to approve downtown mixed-use development agreement be approved. Mr. Mayor, I move to you that this resolution number 2021-008 be accepted on its first reading as read by its title and be laid on the table for no less than 1 week for public inspection.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Decker.
I'll just make a quick note and then turn it over to Ty. Here's a great opportunity that I'm excited for. It's with Flaherty and Collins, an experienced developer of high-quality apartments. And so this is entering into our mixed-use development agreement with those. And so I'll give Ty, I've got other details, but I'll give Ty, would you like to say anything?
Thank you, Commissioner. I'd like to first start off with, I forgot what a treat it is to work on these development agreements with this gentleman to my right, City Attorney Dennis Triggs. He's the master of these, and just the nuances and all of the things that go into these. Not a piece of information passes by him that he doesn't catch on to. And so it's been a real great experience. And certainly our development partner here, the Flaherty and Collins team, is somebody that we reached out to blindly with an RFP issuance about a year and a half ago, first part of 2019. And they've responded. And they have a tremendous track record. It's not just one or two projects, it is a number of projects, and they're all very successful. When we went and interviewed the communities that had worked with them, the one word that came up over and over again was catalyst. Their project was a catalyst for other great things to happen in the community, that once they demonstrated there's a demand here, there's something really exciting here, other developers followed. And so it's really exciting to see this as, this is a first step, not the last step. And this has been a goal of the levy district, what has developed down here in the last, 10, 15 years. When we first got into this whole development, residential was to be a key part of it. And it's something that unfortunately has eluded us up to this point, but this is really a key piece to reinforce the reinvestment or the investment that's been put in down here, both public and private. We have our private development partners at Cullinan Properties, Willie Torsha, the other developments that have come along with us, the Heart of America folks, Community Bank, I'm sure I'm missing a few. But, these are all folks that came together and put an investment in this area. By putting that residential here, that ensures that this is going to continue to be a successful development for years to come. And so this is really a great piece. I will mention a couple of just details about the project. It's 230. We're talking about market rate apartments. We're not sure what the mix is going to be exactly between condos and apartments, but this is not dipping a toe in the water. This is a statement. This is going to be an impactful project. There's 10,000 square feet of commercial to come along with it as well, too, that would largely complement it. But this is a very nice development. This is something that's going to be brand new. It's going to have all the amenities that folks are looking for in these. It's going to have covered attached parking. It's got a 300 to 350 space parking deck included within the development. A pool is a part of the plan. We've got amenities for those that have pets, have dogs. So lots of great components to it. The other key piece to the deal is they're not asking for something out of pocket from the city. We're not spending money up front here. The land is coming with it, but the rest of it is being dealt with based upon what the project generates. And so that's really a key piece. But it's a great project to really kind of kick things off, and I can't imagine a better developer to work with. They really have a lot of great things going for them and understand how to make this work. So we're looking forward to it. And they're looking at a construction date of commencing next year with a completion in sometime in 2022.
Very good. Comments from the council?
I'd like to say a few things. First of all, I wrote a note about something that Ty said. The residential component will assure the levy district will remain successful. I think that's so important. This, as we were sitting here, I even pulled up their website just to refresh my memory on a couple facts. This is a very high-quality company, over $2 billion worth of investment that they have. They're in 5 states, 73 different properties, and they have almost 12,000 units. And they're really a high-class place. I'm excited about it. I'm excited to finally have nice, livable places down in the levy district. That was the plan all along. It's nice that we're getting this going. I know people have asked for it. People have asked, hey, we want this, the ability to live in the levy district area. And just go back to that, Ty, I think that's a very good point, that the number of people living down here will just, again, assure that this area remains successful.
Well said.
I agree with what Commissioner Decker said, and also want to just kind of point out, one, since I've been on the council, it's been a little over a year now, this is something we've talked about, so I'm glad and excited for it. The other thing is, I think in a time where we've had a lot of bad news as a city as far as our finances and some of the things, we've had some tough meetings, this is positive news that we're going to, kind of look to the future and look to brighter times, and that's how I look at this. So I think this is going to be good for the city, good for the levy district, and I'm excited about it.
Well said. Commissioner Sutherland, anything?
Sure.
Sure.
I think it's a win-win situation. We didn't have to pay to bring somebody in. We're not buying people to come into our city. They wanted to come in. I really like that. I think that there is some property tax stuff going on with the property back and forth, but it's sitting idle right now, and if we would have done this 10 years ago, we would be in the black and be running 100% on this deal. So let's get the 10 years started,
Well said. So Flaherty and Collins, and first of all, I want to start by thanking Ty and Dennis both, because there has been a lot of work that has gone into getting it to this point. And I applaud both gentlemen. And I applaud Flaherty and Collins. They're a class act. They're award-winning. When you go to their website, and I encourage people to do that, I mean, you can pull up any one of their developments. And this isn't a fly-by-night developer that comes in, puts up something, and then sells it. You won't see that out of them, and I think their record speaks for itself. But I told Ty I was going to mention a few, just to throw it out there, because I do encourage people to go on their website. It's flco.com, and you can look at their developments. Just to name a few: Covington, Kentucky. They have Kansas City, Missouri, Indianapolis, Mount Vernon, Indiana, Brownsburg, Indiana, Ramsey, Minnesota, just to name a few. But you can look on any one of their developments and see what kind of quality product that they do develop. So this is an exciting time. I know I alluded to it in the State of the City address right before the COVID stuff hit a week later, but I couldn't speak to a lot of details in it, but this is exciting news for all of us, and we really look forward to the project. So this is the beginning, and as Ty said, they're looking to break ground sometime next year with completion date in 2022. So appreciate all the efforts that went behind it, and we're excited about it. So appreciate that. Roll call?
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Hill?
Aye.
Mingus?
Aye.
Sutherland?
Aye.
Mayor Call?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, that's all I have tonight.
Very good. Commissioner Decker?
I have nothing right now, Mayor.
Commissioner Sutherland?
I have one thing. Mr. Mayor, I move that ordinance number 4498, hereto attached, an ordinance approving an agreement to finance the purchase of a single Turner valve maintenance trailer for the city's water department. Having been read once by its title and having laid on the table for no less than 1 week for public inspection, be adopted as presented.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Mingus.
What this is, to repeat what I said a couple weeks ago, the EPA rules and regulations have made it mandatory for cities and municipalities to work their valves to make sure that they work for all sorts of reasons, in case of breakdowns, to where you don't lose your water pressure, or you're making the system work over, or to be shut down and not turned back on when the fire department needs them, and to isolate areas when there is problems in the system, whether it's private or public property. If you've ever tried to turn a valve that's in the street, that's buried 5 foot deep, it's on a 10-inch or 12-inch or an 8-inch water main, by yourself or with a partner, and it hasn't been turned in 20, 30, 40, 50 years, it is not impossible, but nearly impossible. So this machine works it back and forth firmly but gently, and they will walk through the city doing each and every valve throughout the city, keeping track of every valve that they worked and where everything is. And finally, we're going to start locating all the valves that have been buried underneath of asphalt, and when we need them, they'll be readily accessible to us. So I think this is going to be a very big win for us, but just mark my words. I said this last time. We're going to find a lot of bad valves. There's going to be a lot of work going on out there. There's going to be people's water pressure possibly going up and down in the future when we get this machine started, but it's all for the better. That's it.
Well said. Comments from the council? I'd just like to once again thank the vendor for their efforts here. They worked with the city during these challenging times to spread this out so we could afford to purchase this, and I appreciate their efforts during this time. Roll call?
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Hill?
Aye.
Mingus?
Aye.
Sutherland?
Aye.
Mayor Call?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Thank you. That's all you had?
That'll be it, sir.
Very good. Commissioner Mingus?
I have two items tonight, Your Honor. First item, resolution number 2021-006. Whereas Donald Weberg has been continuously employed by the city from February 16, 2000 through June 17, 2020, most recently occupying the position of firefighter/paramedic for the East Peoria Fire Department. Whereas Donald Weberg announced his intention to retire from employment effective at the end of his shift on June 17, 2020. And whereas the city is appreciative of the long and continued service provided by Donald Weberg, and whereas it is in the best interest of the city to execute the attached separation agreement, now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of East Peoria, Tazewell County, Illinois, that Section 1, the above recitals are found to be true and accurate. Section 2, the mayor is hereby authorized to execute the separation agreement with such changes as the mayor in his sole discretion may decide are in the best interest of the City of East Peoria. Mr. Mayor, I move that the resolution number 2021-006 be adopted as presented.
May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Hill.
Thank you, Commissioner Hill. This is a separation agreement for Donnie Weberg, who has been employed by the fire department for 20 years. We've had a lot of these recently, so I feel like I say the same thing, but I'd like to wish Donnie good luck in his retirement. I believe he's going to Florida if he's not already there. And it's a lot nicer in Florida probably right now than it is here, so I have to admit I'm a little jealous, but it's a retirement package or a separation agreement for Donnie Weberg.
Very good. Comments from the council. Commissioner Decker?
Yeah, Mayor, I worked with both, I'm going to go talk about both of them one time, but first Don. Don is a good person to work with, a good guy. He is moving to Florida, and I think he's already there. His wife is a nurse, and she'd work here in Peoria, but she moved a couple months ago. So it's been tough these last few months getting down to see her when he can, but especially with the coronavirus stuff, it just made it that much more difficult. So really unfortunate to have worked with him all these years. Bill as well. Bill Van Antwerp is the next one's going to come up. Bill, a good guy. He's not moving away. He's living in Tremont. A couple years ago, he bought a large piece of property and really enjoys it out there. One thing I want to say about both of these guys, they've been paramedics a long time. Both of them have been paramedics longer than I have. And the amount of experience they have, it'll be really missed. They both did an excellent job as EMS providers over the years, and both good people. Wish them a lot of happiness in their retirement.
Well said. Other comments from the council? Just like to tell firefighter Weberg, appreciate his dedicated service to the city, and I wish him well in Florida, and I think you're correct. I think he's already down there, whoever said that, so appreciate that. Roll call?
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Hill?
Aye.
Mingus?
Aye.
Sutherland?
Aye.
Mayor Call?
Aye.
All present voting, aye, Your Honor.
Thank you.
My second item, Your Honor, Resolution Number 2021-007, whereas Kirk Bill Van Antwerp has been continuously employed by the city from May 1st, 1995 through May 4th, 2020, most recently occupying the position of fire lieutenant. Whereas Kirk Bill Van Antwerp announced his intention to retire from employment effective at the end of his shift on May 4th, 2020, and whereas the city is appreciative of the long-continued service provided by Kirk Bill Van Antwerp, and whereas it is in the best interest of the city to execute the attached separation agreement, now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of East Peoria, Tazewell County, Illinois, that Section 1, the above recitals are found to be true and correct. Section 2, the mayor is hereby authorized to execute the separation agreement with such changes as the mayor, in his sole discretion, may decide are in the best interest of the City of East Peoria. Mr. Mayor, I move that Resolution Number 2021-007 be adopted as presented.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Hill.
Thank you, Commissioner Hill. As Commissioner Decker said, this is a separation agreement for the retirement of Bill Van Antwerp. Like I said with Donnie Weberg, I wish Bill the best of luck in retirement as well. And Commissioner Decker already said, it's my understanding that he is sticking around. And I would like to wish him well, along with Donnie Weberg, and hopefully they'll both enjoy their time off.
Very good. Comments from the council? Already said?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks.
Roll call?
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Hill?
Aye.
Mingus?
Aye.
Sutherland?
Aye.
Mayor Call?
Aye.
All present voting, aye, Your Honor.
Very good, thank you.
That's all I have, Your Honor.
Very good, thank you, Commissioner. Now we'll go to public comment. Anyone wishing to address the council on a non-agenda item, and since we're holding the meeting via Zoom, we'll give it a few moments. Morgan, do you mind rattling off again?
So
what
if
they need to do?
you are on your computer, go ahead and select the participants section and click on the raise your hand icon. If you're on your phone, you can go ahead and press *9 to raise your hand.
We'll give it a few moments here.
I don't see any.
Seeing no one, okay. Everyone's opted to stay quiet. Very good. We'll turn it over to comments from the council. Commissioner Decker.
Yeah, first of all, Mayor, I'd like to say that I think people are excited and about getting out of their house and starting to, do some shopping and at least try to get closer to normal. I've had very good comments and remarks from people. There have been some people ask questions, but for the most part, people have been extremely supportive of what we've been trying to do here in East Peoria. And I'm very happy also paying attention to the hospitalizations seem to really continuing to be declining. Hopefully that remains, and I'm looking forward to, I guess there's good comments or good research out there about the possibility of having a vaccine, hopefully by the end of the year. So I think the faster we get to that, the better off we'll all be. I would like to say for my final thing about recycling, we have not, will not forget about recycling. Email exchange with Rick. I'm meeting with Rick Thursday morning. I think Dennis is going to be in that meeting as well, but to discuss a couple things. But one of those is discussing recycling. We have feelers out to a few different places about things that they could do in East Peoria in the meantime while we can't do curbside, to at least provide hopefully a place that people can take the recycling materials and drop them off. But again, we'll not forget about it, but we don't want to rush into something either. And it's not like we have a budgeted amount that we have to spend on it. So we're really looking forward to have having a company that's going to work with us to work it out. But I have had some questions about that from the people, either on Facebook, text, call. Feel free, continue, but I will, well, hopefully within the next week or so, we'll have an answer of how we're going to move forward.
Very good. Commissioner Hill?
Yeah, just a couple things. I'm a little saddened by egregious behavior by our state recently. What I'm referring to is that, there was some last-minute rules written, again, to keep people down, keep the compliance in. And some of that's now allowing the state to bring punitive damage or punitive actions against people that are trying to save their life savings or trying to make a living. And so I find that very disturbing, to say the least, and threats against any municipality and counties that do not agree with the state and their drawn-out plan. And as everyone knows here in East Peoria, we've had a plan, and as Commissioner Decker referred to, the numbers being the health metrics that we've watched for weeks and weeks and weeks, and those have nothing but improved during those period. And as we all know, that our plan is more aggressive and than the governor, and he has no intentions of easing those, so that areas of our city and areas of our state can get back to a new normal anytime soon. So one thing that's important to know is that these rules that were written by last-minute rules that came rolling out Friday or over the weekend, there's a meeting tomorrow, the Joint Committee on Administrative Rules. And depending on the vote of that will depend on whether that rule gets to stand. It's a committee of 12, 7 Democrats, 5 Republicans. And if they give the governor the blessing on his rules, that again give punitive actions against our citizens, then that will be in place for 150 days. And I listened to the news press release today from the governor, and again, he was saying that was only for the next 10 days, but according to what I've read, that if they pass it, it's good for 150 days, so that's over 5 months. So something that people should be aware of, and please call your representatives and your senators, and let them know what your feelings are on this position. So that being said, on a more positive note, we have the East Peoria Farmers Market starting June 5th. So we'd like to let everybody know that's going to start again down here in the Levy District in the Promenade area, and we look forward to a growing and better year, even considering the challenges that we have. So with that, Mayor, I am done.
Mayor, is there a way to reach out to that committee and at least express opinions?
Yes, actually, there is. So it's called JCAR, is the acronym, and I believe their email address as a group is jcar@illinois.gov. I'll try to find out, because I did send them emails, and there are 12 committee members on there. 6, actually, the state's got it listed wrong. It looks like there's 7 Democrats and 5 Republicans, but it's actually 6 and 6.
Okay.
But you can go to the state's website and look that up. And then as far as individual email addresses, I encourage people to obtain those too, just to make sure if you're going to share your thoughts. I would recommend reaching out to all of them, because they convene tomorrow. So I think it's really important to state when not to go off on a segue and let the other commissioner speak here, but in regards to this, it's the Illinois Department of Public Health that basically proposed that emergency rule change, and that was filed with the Secretary of State's office Friday, but I think it may have been published maybe yesterday, which means it goes into effect until this JCAR reviews it, and it takes 8 of the 12 to object and suspend that rule. And I strongly encourage people to take a hard look at that, because there are punitive damages for violating that rule, which, when you read what the emergency rule is, it's very specific to restaurants and bars. So there's a motive there. I don't agree with it. I know the General Assembly is going back into session tomorrow. I also encourage people to reach out to their state legislators and let your feelings be known on what to expect out of them as they head back to Springfield. And hopefully, there's more than one decision maker before it's all done. Commissioner Sutherland.
Sure. Like everybody, I'm about sick of hearing about and talking about the virus. I received a couple emails from people that thought that I was insensitive and basically letting people die by saying we need to open up our city, that we're not like Chicago. And we do need to open up our city. We need to have, don't be hugging on people and, just keep your 6 feet away. And if you don't want to come out, don't come out. If you feel vulnerable, stay where you, just do what you're doing. I'm not going to try to make you come out of the house, or I ain't going to try to make you stay in the house like our governor is doing. He's, as far as I'm concerned, he's overstepped his constitutional bounds, and I hope someone's got the guts to take him on. I just wish I had enough money, it'd be me. I don't. So the emails, I looked into the emails a little bit, and I was kind of following I'm not very good on the computer stuff, but following the people's pictures on the left-hand side and going back. These people are way out there. So I just discarded those people as far as I'm concerned in my world. I got no emails from anybody local that I know of that was disheartened by my position that I've taken, and I hope that continues. At the beginning of all this, I said that Angie and I were going to dine out as much as we could in East Peoria. I've gained about 12 pounds. I've hit every restaurant in East Peoria that's open after I get off work at least 3 times. They've done a great job. The food has been great. Every time I go somewhere, I fuel up in East Peoria. I don't fuel up anywhere else. I think it's very important that we plow our resources back into where we live, and we have some loyalty here with the people that are trying to survive this thing because of the constraints that are put upon them. Luckily, my hardware store wasn't affected at all adversely, and I don't feel the pain. But a lot of my friends that are in business that I know have, and I think that it's a travesty, and it needs to be rectified. My next thing I'm going to say about the same subject, and that is, I'm a blue-collar worker. I work with my hands. I do my fair share. I'm union, and virtually everybody that I work with around me, not all, but just about everybody I work with, are union members. I've found not one union member that is inherently a Democrat supporting this governor. I hope that they remember this and they vote accordingly when the time comes. I know it's 3 years away, and I know people's memories are short, but this is something when they take your rights away. Read George Orwell's the book 1984. Just read it. It's as though we're talking about today. And back then, when I read the book, it was an eye-opening thing that no government, no people would allow this to happen. Maybe we are, by not being stiff, upper-necked people and pushing back very, very hard. I'm done.
Commissioner Reagan.
Touch on the subject that the other commissioners touched on. I also received a few emails not agreeing with us, but when I went back and looked at those emails or read them more carefully, they were not residents of East Peoria. And so what I wanted to do is thank the residents of East Peoria and tell them that how appreciative I am of their support of our stand as a city council to try to reopen things or restart our economy and do it in a safe way with a balance between keeping people healthy and allowing people to earn a living and get out and about. So it's really nice. Our job as elected officials, and I think maybe somebody should remind Governor Pritzker this as well, is to represent the people who put us in office, and that's to represent, so our job is to represent the people of East Peoria. And to me, it's been very clear in their communication with me that they are in support of the city council as far as opening or trying to get things jump-started here and doing it in a safe way. I think that that's important, not just, it's not a free-for-all. There are some standards that have to be met, but I appreciate their support. I hope that we're able to get things moving. I hope the governor listens to us, or listens to not just us, but the other communities downstate. So appreciate that and hope that we can get things moving in the right direction. That's all I have, Your Honor.
Very good. So just as a matter of record, and I slid it over to Commissioner Decker, I did find my notes. That email address for the Joint Committee on Administrative Rules is jcar@ilga.gov. And that, as I said, is a committee of 12 members. There are 6 Democrats and 6 Republicans. Of the 6 of each party, 3 are senators and 3 are representatives. So, I sent my thoughts to them today, asking them to review that emergency rule, and reminded them of what's required when they review it according to law. And I asked for them to object and suspend this emergency rule. When you look at it, one thing that's clear, and it's also clear in the Public Health Act, is when you're making such decisions to hand down these restrictions, you have to take particular notice of the impact that it has on small businesses, small municipalities, and nonprofit organizations. And it's very clear that you need to attempt to minimize the economic burden that it imposes on these entities. So with that being said, we've tracked the data. Commissioner Hill did a great job of explaining this when we talked about the plan that we presented. I know Peoria rolled out the Heart of Illinois plan, which included up front, so people can see it, and I give them some merit there, all the metrics that are used in making some of these decisions on what you deem to be a safe reopening in phases. We've maintained and monitored this data each and every day, no different than any other entity that's actually involved in this process. So just today alone, and I know, and this is going off the governor's plan, as everybody knows, the goalpost keeps moving. And I'm not trying to be disrespectful, it's just a matter of fact. I've listened to the press briefings every day that he's held them, the health department's held them, we've tracked the data, I've taken notes, and that goalpost moved from mid-April to late April to mid-May. Now he's talking sometime in June. The rules keep changing, what they're trying to implement keeps changing, and I can't stress this enough. The numbers don't justify the means. Oh, apparently I turned off my microphone, so hopefully I talk loud enough because I'm not going to repeat myself. But I just want to point out that when you look at the Peoria region, and we've done this, and this is part of why we rolled out our reopening plan at the time that we did, we looked at the data, and we've met every metrics that the governor is asking each region to do today. We met well over a month ago, and we're consistent. And the positivity rate continues to decline. And it's declining on the state level. As the testing has increased, the positivity rate declines. In our region alone, the positivity rate as of today is 7%. 7%, that's it. And that's a dip within the last 2 weeks of like 2.6%. So hospitalization, admissions have dropped 44.3% in the last 2 weeks. But yet we're clamping down even further, and we're saying we can't do this because of that. I just encourage people to reach out, whether you're supportive of the measures that are in place or you're opposed. When you sit back and say nothing, and I've said it before up here, silence is consent. And what we've seen here, I can tell you as a veteran, it's disheartening and it's offensive. And I'm not discounting the virus. The virus is a real virus. I give them all the credit in the world for making those tough decisions early on. We were not critical for the first 6 weeks. Everybody has done their part. But when you stand up there on May 1st and you extend another 30 days worth of stay at home on the very day that you dismantle McCormick Place, and then we've tracked these numbers, ever since then, and they continue to decline, it just does, I mean, it just doesn't add up. And it's difficult in our position to sit back and watch so many livelihoods being decimated due to these restrictions. And I hope people understand, if you've never been in those shoes, then you shouldn't cast judgment. And I've been there. And I'm telling you, the stress itself, if there's not health-related matters that come out of that, I'd be shocked. Because it's not a good place to be, and I personally feel absolutely horrible for the people that have been affected that way. And I can promise you, I personally am going to do everything I can to continue pressing this until we turn things around.
Your Honor,
So-
can I ask a question, just clarifying?
Yes, sir.
8 need to vote to object to this in order for it to
They,
not, so you
need to object, and in order to object and suspend it,
you
it
need
takes
8, you need 8 to do that, so.
Correct.
More than just a simple majority.
Correct.
Thank you.
Mayor, I think it's important to point out that, I've been thinking about this quite a bit. When this first started, you're right, this is a legitimate disease. It's a virus that has killed many people, and unfortunately will probably kill more. When this first started, 100% believe in what was done. You have to work to contain, and I appreciate that mentality of trying to figure out what we have and then move from there. And as we've tried to move forward, I think as a society, we can't just accept that we all have to stay home, because we have too many people's livelihoods that are being destroyed, too many people that have invested their life savings into their business or a family business that's been open for generations and now will have to close for good because of not being a plan of how to move forward. It's something that was out of our control at first, but I think we all have to try to work to get it back under control. So I was one of those people early on going into stores, and I wouldn't think about taking my mask with me. And I've gotten to the point where, if nothing else, it makes other people feel more comfortable. So I wear my mask, and now it's almost gotten to the point when you're walking through the store, if you have your mask on, you see somebody without the mask, you think, hey, they should have a mask on. I'm not someone that would tell them that they have to, but I do appreciate, you see how society's kind of accepted that. And I think it's more of what I said in the beginning. If it allows people to be safer and feel safer, then I'm 100% in favor of that. I think that that's at least the least I can do. And I really like what you said there. It is real, and we took it serious, but we have to figure out how to move forward. So I appreciate the work that you've done. I will be emailing them tonight. Hopefully it can make a difference, because even though I don't think the intention is 150 days, man, that authority, another 5 months of potential closure for many of these businesses would just be devastating. So I would hate to look at those families and say, for another potential 5 months, I mean, how could they survive that?
Yeah, I agree. And, I mean, at the end of the day, I just think that, I've asked people all along to remain respectful, and I know there's differences of opinion. And, I've said all along, people cannot be blinded by fear. And I'm not discounting the health-related issues to the virus. Nobody has from day one, but, we've got to have a path forward, and this isn't the new normal. I know they continue to say that. And, this country's been through a lot in 200 years, and it's going to go through more down the road. So I look at this as one of those challenges that we'll get through. I'm confident of that. There's going to be a lot of lessons learned, but we can't put our head in the sand and ignore what's really going on, because you have to find that healthy balance, and I think that's what we've tried to do here. And I will say this, 99% of the people that I have personally heard from have been extremely supportive, and that includes people from Chicago to Southern Illinois. So there is a lot of support there. We'll see where it heads. I don't think we're the loud minority, as some have called us. I think it's quite the opposite. I think there's a silent majority that needs to no longer be silent. Let your voices be heard and speak your piece. I would like to finish on a high note. So yesterday, the Fond du Lac Park District recognized Officer Megan Taylor. She's also an East Peoria police officer. However, on April 24th of 2020, she was working as an officer for the Fond du Lac Park District when there was a dispatch called out for a structure fire at Leisure Acres Retirement Village. She happened to take the call and was the first one to respond, and she assisted some elderly people out of the building safely. She remained calm. She kept them calm. She did all the right things until additional help and resources arrived. And so the Fond du Lac Park District presented her yesterday, and they invited the command staff and myself to attend their meeting yesterday afternoon. And they presented her with the, I think it was a life-saving award is what they called it. It was really, it was well done ceremony. So Chief Rogie had pointed out that East Peoria Police Department was going to present her with a letter of commendation today for the same act, even though she was working as a Fond du Lac Park District police officer. But she does an amazing job for us, and they presented her with this letter of commendation today, and I want to recognize her for what she did there. You know, a lot of times, and I'd like to see more of this, quite honestly, and I know they do it, they just don't do it publicly, and I think when people do good deeds like that, people need to be made aware of that. You know, it offers some gratitude to those that are protecting and serving, and then it shows members of our community what these people are there to do for you, and they do it every day. So I commend her for her actions, job well done, and I was glad she was recognized in that regard. Want to point out just two more things real quickly. Jason Fletcher from ServPro in Pekin, we would like to recognize and thank Jason and ServPro. How many weeks now, Commissioner Decker? They have been decontaminating our emergency vehicles free of charge.
I believe it's 4. Not sure. It feels like 4, 3 or 4, but I think it's 4.
And we greatly appreciate it. It's not something that we asked to do or we sought out. They sought us out, and it was something they offered to do, and they continue to do that. So I just want to point that out and tell him and the ServPro team in Pekin how much we appreciate what they've done for us. Last but not least, congratulations to all the 2020 graduates. Some weird times. I know they did a lot of virtual and drive-by ceremonies. So, you know, I know their family members were involved in that, but not so much, obviously, in a large crowd. But we congratulate all the graduates, and I can promise you throughout your lifetime, you'll never forget this one. So, anyway, hats off to them. That's all I have. Seek a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we adjourn until Tuesday evening, June 2nd, 2020, at 6 p.m.
May I have a second?
Second.
I assume no discussion. Roll call.
Commissioner Decker?
Aye.
Hill?
Aye.
Mingus?
Aye.
Sutherland?
Yes, aye.
Mayor Call?
Aye.
All present voting aye, Your Honor.
Very good. We are adjourned until we meet again. Thank you.